So the ninth area of activity is reserved for the individual non-white person anywhere on the planet who says, and with honesty, with him or herself, because you better be honest with yourself.
That's right.
All right? That, hey, I can't take anymore.
Right.
Different people have different levels of what they can stand. So they don't ask anybody anything. They're not conforming to anybody's any agenda. So they do whatever they decide to do against the racists, including counter-racist violence. That's what it's called. Counter-racist counter-violence, because racism itself is violence. So the racists themselves have spawned counteraction against them. So when a racist says, well, why is a black person doing this against, my system that I have set up? I mean, what's this all about? Well, you have to ask the individual black person who did it. Now, there's one great distinction in, just among others, there's a lot of distinctions between what people do to counter violence. I mean, in so-called South Africa and whatnot, people rose up in what they call action against apartheid. And in different places, I mean, all during the 1960s, we shall overcome in the Northwestern Hemisphere. And people did what they did. They demonstrated in the streets, and sometimes riots broke out all over, everywhere, in all the major cities. Right after the assassination of Martin Luther King, riots broke out. All right. This was forms of counter-violence because they were fighting against, presumably, the violence that's being inflicted upon the non-white people, the black people. All right? So in maximum emergency, an individual person, not waiting on anybody else, any signals are going and try to get pumped up by some leader and put up by some leader, that person becomes his or her own leader based on the amount of pain that that person is feeling. And the compensatory logic says that person, if no one will listen, has a duty, if he or she has decided to take individual action of any kind against their oppressor, which in this case would be anyone who is perceived to be, suspected to be, and confirmed to be by that person, only by that person, a white supremacist.